Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. 3 tips here, and what I've got is some high purity gold powder in this container, and what I want to do is I'm going to re-refine it for a 4th time, and we're going to use hydrogen peroxide and hydrochloric acid to do the refining. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a weight on this powder before we start and just see how much material we're going to be working with here. Looks like we've got 14.6 grams of high purity gold. Let's begin by putting the gold in this large beaker up on a stir pad that's heated. I'm adding a new stir bar. Now we'll add some hydrochloric acid. This is hydrochloric acid from the dollar store, or the Ace Hardware store rather. And I'm adding about, we're going to fill it up to about the 200 milliliter level. This heating plate and stir was sent to me by a user, and I thank him for that, but I must point out here that the ceramic has popped off of there in certain places. I use this extensively on high heat, and so what happens is after a while the ceramic starts to peel off and pop away. I wouldn't recommend this particular type of stir for refining where you're going to be using high heat all the time, but we're going to use it for this refining. I'm going to turn the stir bar on now. We're going to start stirring, and I'm going to add some heat. A quick word about our hydrogen peroxide here. This is 3% hydrogen peroxide, and if you notice, it's less than a half liter per bottle. Each bottle was 65 cents, and I used to buy 1 liter bottles for 99 cents. And this is just a little example of paying more for less product. It's equivalent to a price increase due to inflation of the money supply. The hydrogen peroxide has not become more valuable or more scarce. What has happened is the value of the currency, the US dollar, has declined in value due to money printing out of thin air, and that's why we're seeing price increases due to this inflation of the money supply. Every dollar they print and put into circulation out of thin air dilutes the value of every other dollar already in circulation in your bank account or in your pocket. Been on the heat now for about 5 minutes. Crank the heat up pretty good to get it boiling. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try to dissolve this gold powder. I'm using 3% grocery store hydrogen peroxide. I don't know if this is going to work. It's the first time I've ever tried this experiment. I have used hydrogen peroxide to dissolve platinum group metals. So we're just going to go ahead and start pouring this in now, a little bit at a time, and see what kind of result we're going to get here. Get an immediate color change, which tells me that that gold is going into solution with 3% hydrogen peroxide. Alright, we're going to dip a piece of filter paper in here and do a stannous test on this. Should have gold going into solution. And you can see by that stain, we've got gold in solution. Alright, what we're doing is using 3% hydrogen peroxide to try to dissolve this gold. I've never done this before with gold. I have done it before with platinum group metals. so I know it will put the noble metals into solution. I wasn't sure if the 3% was going to do it for me, but it looks like it's going to work. I don't know how much of this I'm going to have to use. I wasn't certain if this was going to have the punch to put our gold in solution, but it looks like it's working nicely. I'm just going to keep adding doses of the hydrogen peroxide until we get it all to go into solution, if we can. I've got the heat cranked up pretty good here. It takes a lot of heat to do this reaction. This is working out pretty good. As you can see, most of the gold has gone into solution. And what I've done is I've used about 1 jar of this hydrogen peroxide, half a liter so far. Alright, as you can see, just about all the gold has gone into solution. So now what we're going to do, I used the whole bottle to get that much to go. Transfer the hot solution into a clean beaker, and we're going to add some fresh acid and hydrogen peroxide to get the rest of this gold out of here. This seems to be the best process to use for this. Get all the liquid off of there and then just dissolve the last little bit that's still present down in the bottom of the beaker. See, there's just a little bit of gold in there, not much at all. So what we'll do is add some hydrogen peroxide, or I mean hydrochloric acid here. Not very much, about 100 milliliters. You can see the solution's boiling pretty good now. Turn the stir bar back on. If you take a look at our solution, it's crystal clear and beautiful. I'm going to set it back off in the back here. Now what we'll do is start dissolving the rest of these granules of gold with some more hydrogen peroxide. It's zoomed in here. All right, here we go. This is actually the best way to do this. Get the main solution separated from the remaining particles of pure gold and put some fresh acid in there, and this will speed things up rather than putting fresh acids in with the bulk of the solution that already contains our gold. One nice thing about this reaction is we don't get a whole bunch of fumes being created in here. I'm sure there probably are some fumes, but nothing compared to what we get when we use nitric acid to form aqua regia and dissolve the gold. There's still a couple of big pieces, one right here, and And another one back here, you probably can't see it on the camera, but most of it's gone into solution now. It's been on here about 10 minutes. I'm going to add another dose of hydrogen peroxide. Here we go. You can kind of watch them littler pieces dissolving right in front of your eyes there. It's kind of neat. I turned the stir bar off so you can see there's just a few little grains of gold left in there. So let's see, I've used about a third of that bottle of hydrogen peroxide. Now what we're going to do is turn the heat off, and I'll put this in the back, set it back here in the back, and let it cool off a little bit. Now what we'll do is set up a filter rig here. It's probably not even necessary because the solution is going to be very pure anyway, but for purity's sake, I'm going to set up a filter flask here. We're going to go ahead and filter our solution just for purity's sake. Alright, that pulled through even before I got the final rinse down into that filter. If you look at the filter, there's absolutely nothing in it. That's what we expect with high purity gold. Here's the other small batch. There you can see there's not very much gold at all in there. I'm going to get the stir bar up out of the way. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and filter that as well. Those small pieces of gold that's left in there, I'll get that out a little bit later. It does have a little bit of gold floating on the surface of this solution here. So we'll just put that in our filter and recover it later. You can see there's a little bit of gold left down at the bottom of the beaker. Not much. Like I said, we'll get that out of there a little bit later. And if you look down into the filter, you'll see that there's some tiny particles of gold in the filter as well. We'll save that filter and put it in with our paper storage. Now we've got the apparatus set up. I'm going to transfer the gold solution into this beaker so we can do an SO2 gas precipitation. What I've got here is an SO2 gas generator. This is an addition funnel that's vented to the flask. I've got a slurry of sodium metabisulfite down here, sulfuric acid in the addition funnel. I've got a tube coming out that goes to a bubbling flask that's full of sulfuric acid, and then the SO2 gas will come out this tube and come out of this delivery tube here, which we're going to insert into our gold right now. I'm going to start the reaction now. I'm going to turn this little valve right here and start dripping the acid down into the slurry. And then what we should see is SO2 gas being produced in the gas generator, bubbling through the sulfuric acid here, and then bubbling the gas into our chloroauric acid solution, and that should produce a precipitation of pure gold. Here we go. There goes the gas. There we go. Got a nice steady gas stream going now. All the air will get forced out of the gas generator before we get the SO2 gas coming down into the beaker here. Should start seeing a reaction very quickly as soon as all the air gets bled out of the system. Now the solution's starting to change a little color here, turning more pale yellow, going towards clear. Kind of neat. And then we should see a crossover when a threshold right there is reached, and that is our pure gold precipitating out of our chloroauric acid solution. This is about 2 minutes into the reaction. Shouldn't take long. There's only a half an ounce of gold in that liquid. This is about 3 minutes into the reaction. You can see the gold built up on the bottom of the beaker down there, and it's starting to adhere a little bit to the side of the beaker. Shouldn't take too long. Solution's starting to clear up a little bit. What we're going to do is reach down in here now, get some of the solution on our piece of filter paper. Let's do a quick stannous test and see if we've got everything pulled out of that solution now. As you can see, stannous test is negative. All the gold now has been precipitated out of this solution. Took less than 5 minutes. The reaction's a little warm. Did produce some heat. What we're going to do now that we've got all the gold precipitated is I'm going to turn off the acid flow to the SO2 gas generator, and that will stop the flow of gas, and we'll let this settle out now and get our gold out of here. Took about an hour to settle completely. That high purity gold has almost a red tint to it. Very impressive. Very nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pour off the wastewater or the waste solution into this temporary waste container. Here's a look at the gold. Like I said, it's almost got a red color to it. What we're going to do now is just rinse it real good with some hot distilled water. I don't know if you can see it in person here. The solution has a little bit of a pink color to it. And that's the color of gold. That's our gold right there. I'm rinsing the gold over and over in distilled water, boiling distilled water. I'm trying to get all the acid rinsed off of here. Filled the other container up. And I'll just keep doing this until I get all the acid rinsed off, and then we'll dry it out. I think we've got all the acid off of there now. I'm going to test it with one of these a little bit more accurate pH test strips. Get down in here and get some of the liquid on here. And as you can see, we're definitely pH 7. So I've got all the acid off of here now. Pouring off this last rinse. And what we'll do now is transfer the gold into a dish here. Put it up on some low heat. And we'll see if we can get this dried out now into a nice powder. Here's our gold that's been dissolved in hydrogen peroxide, hydrochloric acid, and then precipitated with SO2 gas. It is spectacular looking. I can't quit looking at it. And what we'll do is I've got the weight of the container on the side here. So we got 413.3 minus 399.7 equals, we've got 13.6 grams of high purity gold. What we'll do is we'll leave it in this form and offer this for sale 1 gram at a time on my eBay store. Okay, this will conclude the video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching.